Alan Pardew has been issued with a £100,000 fine and given a formal warning by Newcastle United after astonishing clash with David Meyler. From Sunday 2nd of March 2014, Newcastle United manager Alan Pardew has been fined $100,000 and issued a formal warning from the club after being sent off for headbutting the Hull City midfielder David Meyler. Senior figures within the game lined up to condemn his unprecedented flash of temper in the 4-1 Premier League win. Two former Newcastle managers, Alan Shearer and Graham Souness, condemned this conduct, which they said could lead to his dismissal. Speaking on beIN Sports, Shearer said, "I've never seen anything like that. Even if he doesn't want to resign, the club might be saying to him, you resign." Souness said this is a sackable offence, but the early indications were that Newcastle, whose owner Mike Ashley was not at the stadium, intend to stand by Pardew if possible. The Football Association will be less forgiving, and last night confirmed that they will punish Pardew, who has a history of touchline clashes. He will probably receive the longest managerial ban and largest fine ever handed out for such an altercation. You know what? He actually has been charged by the FA and has till this Wednesday to actually answer the charge. So they're taking this as a special case. The fact is, for me, it's one of them ones where it's one of them where that Mourinho gouging Villanova, I think he ended up getting a touchline ban because there was that whole thing with the Champions League game where he was communicating via iPad from a hotel around the corner. There was that funny thing with the Mourinho gouging Tito Villanova thing. But I digress. Fact of the matter is, the way people were reacting about this headbutt, I thought like he'd proper gone football hooligan style and just gone bang and just proper nutted him. But it's one of them ones. Are you seeing that in the chat, Gav? No, it's one of them ones where it's a case of people were making out like he like headbutted him and knocked him out. Jeff Stelling, I'd just like to say, I don't know what your reaction was all about, but it's like certain entities were trying to make it look like some panto thing. It was like, oh my god,
it was well over the top.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing when people react like that. It's like, condemn it by all means. It's one of them was. Alan Pardew, that's flop of the week contention comfortably. And it's a case of, all I gotta say, Alan Pardew, just moronic. And the fact is, Newcastle, I gotta say, Newcastle have done well getting in there early and that's quite a big fine, £100,000. But Souness, I think, is right in terms of it being a sackable offence. Because that's bringing the game into disrepute. That's bringing the club into disrepute. All right, Humberside police are not going to take any action. They've come out and said they're not going to take any action. So it's not a police matter, which is fortunate for Pardew because he probably would have been sacked if it was. But the fact of the matter is, just what an idiot. What an utter moron. Alan Pardew, what are you doing? You're supposed to be setting an example for your players, not going around doing stupidness like that. I'm sorry, but it's one of them ones that is just. I looked at that headbutt when it on a delay, and I was just like,
I don't know what the hell's going on here. Wait a minute, but I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
That's what I'm saying. It's one of them. I mean, the FA for me, the FA for me, it's a case of the FA for me need to punish in a very draconian fashion, because if they, I think it's one of them ones where they need to punish a lot more than Newcastle. If Pardew doesn't get at least a 5 to 10 match ban and at least a $200,000 fine, then the FA have dropped the ball. And I'm talking about that as a minimum, because that's a manager. This isn't a player. This is a manager who's supposed to be a leader of men. How are you? Alex, it is harsh, but it has to be. this is a manager. A player doing it is bad enough. I would say that for a player as well. But it's one of them ones. That's basically a manager physically abusing a player. So it's utterly disgraceful for me. I mean, and I said, if the FA don't punish extremely harshly, then they'll have dropped the ball and dropped it in a major way. But we've seen the FA drop the ball and drag their heels before. So Newcastle, I think, with their fine of 100 grand and a formal warning, have put the FA between a rock and a hard place. I think they have. I think they've put them between a rock and a hard place because the FA now have to punish very harshly. So, I mean, Gman, what do you reckon of this before we throw it out?
Yeah, no, definitely. The whole Alan Pardew situation, I said, you know what? The Jeff Stelling reaction, to be honest, and all the other reactions, they were well over the top.
Stupid.
They were pantomimish, and you know, but Jeff Stelling's, he's always on some sort of LSD and reacting in those sort of ways with Paul Merson and whoever else his cronies are.
Yeah.
However, the whole situation with Alan Pardew, it's crazy. Like, he's a manager, you know, as you mentioned, like, he's there to show his players and other players on the field of play how they should be acting and reacting.
Yeah, it's like leadership by example, not leadership by idiocy.
And you know, in that, you know, him going around headbutting players, like, that's crazy. How can you be headbutting your opposition player? How can you potentially, and your manager, you fine your players for doing those sort of things? So what do you do to yourself if you're a manager?
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's where I think, you know, does he stay? Does he go? I think Newcastle, really and truthfully, should be looking to get rid of him because he brought the club into disrepute.
But potentially that's now an untenable position. Because how are you gonna tell players not to react badly if you're doing it and you're the man leading?
Precisely. And with you saying, oh well, they've reacted well with the £100,000 fine, I think that's crazy. The £100,000 fine is nothing. Do you get me? With a guy with an 8-year contract and he's looking very cushy in his job at the moment. Yeah. It's one of those things. They've reacted fast to, you know, put a nice little blanket over the situation. Makes them look good with everyone else. It makes them look good with the FA. It makes them look good with their sponsors and all sorts. Yeah. And now, like you said, the FA will come in and have to ban him heavily. But in that, if the FA do ban him heavier than the club have reacted, then the club should be really looking, well, you know what? He's done something really wrong, because if the FA are reacting in this way, we need to do something about it. Just like what West Brom done with Nicholas Anelka. At first, they supported their man.
We'll get into that.
At first, they supported their man. And then as soon as the FA weighed in on him, they weighed in on him. So that's the way I see the situation.
No, I hear that. I mean, it's one of those. I mean, Elliot Waller wanted to jump in with his opinion. Elliot, have at it, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was at the game.
Did he headbutt you?
Alright. No, go ahead, Elliot. Have at it. As a whole fan, you probably had a more interesting view, so have at it, man.
From where we were stood, we couldn't really see what was actually going on. We just saw them collision together, Meyler get booked, and then Pardew gets sent to the stand. But seeing it again, I mean, there is the argument that Meyler's pushed him, but then that's not. He was running to keep the ball in, hasn't been able to do that.
But the thing is, there was no need for Meyler to actually push Pardew, but the way Pardew's reacted is just lunacy.
Well, I mean, because when you're running, you need something to stop, don't you?
Yeah, but that's what the hoardings are there for.
Well, it's either run into the manager or run into the dugout and then clash with loads of Newcastle players who were just sat on the bench.
I mean, it's one of them. That said, it's a case of, and yeah, Tom Wood brings up, what about Zidane's headbutt in the World Cup? That was a disgrace. I mean, I actually phoned into the show The Right Stuff to say that was a disgrace, but do not let that tarnish what was a magnificent career. So It's one of them ones. No matter what was said, it's one of them ones. There's no excuse for Zidane headbutting Marco Materazzi. But the fact of the matter is, coming back to Pardew, it's a case of, I said, you're a manager. You're supposed to be you're supposed to be setting an example. This is what's it? Oh, what was the tagline to WWF Judgment Day 2001? Lunacy, retribution, chaos, and despair, and all of that was in there. All of that was in the headbutt. Lunacy of the headbutt, the chaos that ensued after, the retribution. Well, that's going to come from the FA, and the despair of getting fined, and there's going to be more despair from the FA. So it's madness. It's absolutely madness. I never thought I'd have to drop the WWF Judgment Day tagline there. Never thought I'd have to do that. But yeah, but you know what? I mean, also Russ Vernon, you wanted to jump in as well, and so did Jamie Bailey.
Yeah, I did, Liam, because I was watching the same programme as all of our shoes on Saturday in Soonest, and Andy Gray and Richard Keys, they're on there now, and both Keys and Gray all said that Pardew deserves to be sacked. And to be honest, if I were Newcastle's owner, Mike Ashley, whether he's looking to sell or not, I'd get rid of Pardew and fetching Kirby Schlicks. I think Kirby should be a decent manager in the Premier League again. I reckon Kirby can take him places, get back into Europe, into the Europa League at first, and then try and push on for the Champions League places. And did you see the Madrid derby? Did you see what happened in the Madrid derby, Liam, where the assistant manager butted the referee of Atletico Madrid?
No. Didn't hear about it either.
In the Madrid derby earlier yesterday, the Atletico Madrid assistant manager, I'm not sure what his name was, the referee came over to him to have a talk, and he headbutted the referee. When the referee came over to talk to him, because he was moaning about a decision that happened when they didn't get a penalty in the first half. Went into the fourth official took our referee over, and he headbutted the referee. I'll try and find you a link so you can see that happening later on, Liam, and I'll post it on the PT wall on Facebook in case anyone else wants to check it out as well, and I'll post it in the Skype chat. And to be honest, and like Tom said, Zidane's head, but I think Pardew must have seen what Zidane did and then decided when he fell was Saturday to headbutt someone as well. And I think the Atletico Madrid assistant manager, or ass man, as I put in the chat earlier, decided to follow suit with copying Pardew, and this time instead of headbutting a player from the opposite team, headbutt the referee. I think he'll have a fan from the Spanish FA and a lengthy ban, and Pardew gets banned for the remainder of this season and first 2 games of next season as well, because he deserves a lengthy ban for that. And if that happened in the Champions League, we've been found more than £1,000 and would have been given a lengthy touch ban. So hopefully Newcastle FA will give him a lengthy touchline ban for the rest of the season, and probably I'd say the first 5 games of next season until he learns himself. And so earlier today he's said to go on a coaching course, anger management course, this Pardew, to cool his anger. Yeah,
well, I mean, the anger management course isn't too bad, actually, considering Pardew has priors. But I mean, the Pardew thing is it's just an absolute disgrace. It really is. I mean, he's lucky. Oh my God. Alex might want to rephrase that. But yeah, it's one of them ones where it's just a case of you can't be doing that. You just can't be. You just can't be doing that. Right, you just can't be. So I'm expecting the FA to come down hard, but they are part of my moronic trinity. So I wouldn't be surprised if they drop the ball again. FA, I hope you don't drop the ball again. And if you get that as an OWR, you're good.
You know, just imagine, like, with someone that we've had an interview with, they've been blacklisted basically in the refereeing, in the management world.
Great point. Carry on.
Because of things that they've said as manager, and they came across on camera, the whole John Sitton thing.
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And Alan Pardew's actually, you know, acting out certain things on the pitch, in a sense.
Yeah. Well, it's one of them ones. He's
trying to take on players.
Yeah. Well, he's legitimately headbutted. He's legitimately headbutted a player, and like you look at John Sitton, it was a case of he ranted at half time, and you could only imagine the stress that John was going through in 94, 95, where Leyton Orient at that point couldn't even pay their milk bill, much less their players. They were that close to liquidation before Barry Hearn took over, and it's one of them ones. I mean, John Sitton basically got blacklisted. Basically got blacklisted in football because of rants, because of his rants, and then it's a case of Pardew now headbutts someone and he doesn't even get sacked. Oh my word! That's the double standards that run in football. The embarrassing double standards at that. I mean, John Sitton was pretty much made a scapegoat in Orient Club for Revival. It's a shame. I mean, Jamie Bailey, you wanted to jump in on this, didn't you? Jamie?
Sorry. I'm just hearing the blacklisted and I'm thinking mobile contracts, everything to work. He can't even
bankruptcy, a big black mark on your permanent record.
Where in them contracts he's going to pay as you go.
Oh mate.
Anyway.
Oh mate, no one's gonna trust him to give it. No one's gonna trust Pardew to give him another contract. The old Liberties. But God, what's your view on the Pardew headbutt?
Contract, it'll just probably be a pay as you play or pay as you manage.
Wouldn't be surprised. The game is going that way, it seems.
I think that's the going rate, £10 an hour for some sessions.
£10 an hour. Oh my god. But what did you think about the headbutt though? In all seriousness.
Put it this way: if they don't sack him, then they don't sack him. It's just Newcastle's way. If everybody remembers Kieran Dyer and Lee Bowyer,
them fighting each other on the pitch.
So,
but at least that was each other rather than headbutting opponents.
Here's the thing: what did it do to the club?
Oh, it made him look a laughing stock, and they were already doing that. With the Pardew headbutt, I mean, what do you think would be an acceptable ban for that? Because he has to be banned.
I would say he has to sit out for the rest of the season. There is 10 games left, and if you remember, David Prutton did the same thing with who was it? Who did David Prutton do it? He was at Southampton, and Van Persie got sent off in the same game. So Van Persie got a 3-game ban, and David Prutton basically cost Southampton a Premiership spot because he was one of their best players at the time.
Yeah.
They went down. They went down on that basis. So Harry couldn't keep them up. But again, this is the whole look of football. For me, if I look at all the games, even that one idea of what Pardew did on Saturday, for me, this is going to come back to me thinking that there is one thing that needs to happen in this country when it comes to football, and there needs to be a break. There needs to be a break in football because everybody's just getting run down, getting tired, getting angry about situations that doesn't need to happen. There needs to be a break in football at Christmas. You're going to have these stupid things happening by March or whatever time. He might have lost his head now, but as you've seen, he's lost his head on plenty of occasions.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know where the kind of winter break would kind of come into it. I mean, it's a case of you know the pressure cooker of Premier League management, but you got to find ways like get a massage with a happy ending, buddy. Go and take up yoga or something like that to relieve the stress. Yeah, I mean, coming back to the Pardew thing, it's the deal. I don't know, man. I think the FA need to be punishing, and they need to punish harshly. They need to be punishing harsh. Unlike other incidents, they need to be setting an example and setting it early.